Welcome to episode 75. Today we are focusing on the reinstatement of the Discriminatory Effects Rule. So let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fair Housing Insiders. I'm your host, Jonathan Sarr, and with me today is Kathy Williams, and we are looking forward to hearing her update on the reinstatement of the Discriminatory Effects Rule. So, Kathy, welcome again to the show.
Hey, Jonathan, always good to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you. A major ruling, and our community wants to know how it's going to affect them. So what is the Discriminatory Effects Rule?
This is a regulation that tries to explain what disparate impact means when someone is either investigating or attempting to prove a violation of the Fair Housing Act through the disparate impact method of proof. And that method has to do with a neutral policy that, when it's applied, has a much more negative effect on one or more of the protected categories. And that concept has been around forever. Since the initiation of the Fair Housing Act. And this was HUD's effort to explain what that was all about in a regulation.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So why and when was it rescinded?
So there's quite a history here. And the history has to do with a little politics. And the original disparate effects rule was promulgated and adopted by HUD in 2013. And as you know, several years later, we had a change in administrations, and that administration viewed these rules, I think, as too plaintiff-oriented. So they came up with their own rules, and HUD then came out with new rules that I think might have come out in 2019, 2020, which basically were more favorable to defendants or landlords. And in fact, we did a video about those rules. So in the meantime, there's been obviously, another change in administration. This administration has rescinded the rules that came out during the Trump era and have now replaced them with the 2013, the original disparate effects rules. So we need to stay up with the current law and say that our video that we did about those prior rules is no longer accurate, because we have now gone back to the 2013 rules.
Okay, very good. So the question of why it was reinstated, is that just simply because of the administration change, or was there anything else involving that?
Well, there had been some litigation that was filed by a number of advocacy agencies. And in fact, a federal judge stopped the effective date of those of the Trump regulations for a number of reasons, the biggest of which was there was a question of whether those regulations, again, remember, they were more landlord leaning, in fact, change the analysis of proof that was set down by the Supreme Court case in its ruling in 2015. So there was some legal basis for questioning the new regulations. And to my knowledge, that never got resolved. So now we're going back to those 2013 regulations. And the way I view it, those regulations probably are closer in line with the Supreme Court case that came out of Texas back in 2015.
Okay, very good. So lots of details, lots of trying to recall the changes, the law, the administration. So for the benefit of our audience, I'm sure they're asking the question, okay, so what's the bottom line? Like, what do we need to do with this information?
And that's always what it comes down to. What is the practical result of these regulations and of this change in regulations? Basically, I would say this, that because we are dealing with a complicated area of the law, that you and your companies never want to get involved with in litigation, because these disparate impact cases are very difficult to defend. They're a little more difficult to defend now that we have these former 2013 regulations. So to prevent getting into that type of litigation, I would pay careful attention to your occupancy policies, to your criminal history policies, as those are the most common policies that get challenged along the disparate impact area. And make sure you are confident that you can defend those policies in case they ever do get challenged. So that's, I think, the biggest takeaway from this regulatory shift that we have seen.
Okay, very good. Well, we really appreciate, Kathy, you taking the time to always keep us up to date with some of these changes. I know our audience is very, very grateful. So thank you again for being on our show today. And for our audience, we want to thank you for tuning into our show. We appreciate your support and always are grateful for your comments and questions. So until next time, everyone, take care.